My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. We're looking forward to the North Indian Derby, and given everything that happened on the weekend, in case you need a reminder, this is a match that provided a cracker, a cliffhanger. I was going to say cliffhanger and cracker, it became clacker, but we had a clacker of a match from these two teams at the very start of the tournament. This is Punjab and Delhi, match number 38 from Dubai, and I'm delighted to be joined by Joy Bhattacharjya and Lisa Sthalekar. Lisa, what a clacker we're looking forward to.
Yeah, we are actually, and I'm still getting over the weekend. I don't know about you guys. So these two teams, given the factor of how well at least Delhi have been going in the tournament, but also Punjab and winning that double super over.
Joy, I've saved you a little bit of work. We always look for the word of the day towards the end of the show. So clacker it is for now, unless you come up with a better one.
No. I think clacker is a superb word. And these words there's a word for it. They're called portmanteau words. Words that are combined together. Like smog is smoke and fog. So words like these are called portmanteau words. So you've got a portmanteau word for yourself.
Yeah, cracker and cliffhanger. But just given the way we stand right now, a bit of a downer almost yesterday after the activities of the weekend. But with these two teams back again, one on top, one looking to sneak their way back on top, and both exciting lineups.
Yeah, I love the way these teams are looking, and very, very interesting. In fact, the team news is what is intriguing for me. So, if you start with Delhi, great news for them is Rishabh Pant is back and healthy, which is, I think, a fantastic and big news for them. That means the added bonus of Hetmyer, because they don't have to play that extra wicketkeeper then. But the intriguing one is Daniel Sams. He's a fantastic bowler. He's a superb talent. Lisa, you must have seen a lot of Daniel Sams.
Yeah, he plays for Sydney Thunder. He was a leading wicket taker in our Big Bash competition with 30 wickets. And he got an opportunity to get selected into the Australian side. Didn't play when they went over to England, but certainly he would have picked up so much information from those guys whilst training and working with the Australian team. He's been waiting for his time, and I know that Ricky Ponting was a big fan of his as a commentator. He always had him in his playing 11 for every round that he had for the Big Bash. So his ability with slower deliveries, but he's also good with the bat as well. He can hit a long ball. So we've been waiting to see him, because I think the pitches will actually suit him as well. His little cutters, left armour as well, gives you something different.
Yeah, let's just remind you that with lots of changes, which we will confirm in a moment, you also need to try and make a lot of changes into your My 11 Circle team. So this is an early doors reminder. Get onto the app, download it if you haven't. And the good thing is you can keep making changes until the first ball is bowled. So if you've already stuck in a team and you've suddenly been told that Rishabh Pant is back, Daniel Sams is in, you might want to just hold on for a bit, because something tells me Saurav Ganguly's already made his team and he's sitting back and laughing at you. So you can have the last laugh if you hold on till the end. Let's get into the Delhi team and confirm exactly what we've been chatting about for the moment. And there you can see that Kagiso Rabada very much there. So Enrique Nokia makes way for Daniel Sams. Stoinis holds his place, and Shimron Hetmyer comes in because Rishabh Pant is now back in the team as keeper in place of Alex Carey. So yes, they will miss Nokia, Joy, but Daniel Sams is an able replacement.
Yeah, and not only that, I think they're trying him out. I think Nokia is fit and ready. I think they're trying out the additional left-hander. Also, exactly as Lisa said, somebody who might be more effective towards the business end of the tournament when the pitches get slower and lower and slower and lower. They have the luxury of trying out players. That's where Delhi is at right now. And that batting lineup looks scary, because, Sams is no mean this thing. Of course, I don't think he'll bat ahead of Stoinis, but that gives them like Akshar Patel, Ashwin, Sams, Stoinis, 4 all-rounders in the middle. So lots of bowling options, lots of batting options. Basically business as usual for Delhi. They just look as lethal as ever.
The only concern, Gautam, I was going to say, the only concern is that Hetmyer, he scored that 45, and because of Rishabh Pant's injury, he had to sit out, because obviously Alex Carey had to come in. So maybe the fact that he hasn't been able to get out into the middle and play his expansive game, it might take him a little bit longer to get going again. I hope that's not the case, because when he does get going, he's certainly entertaining to watch. But yeah, that's something that Delhi would have been wanting, to get Punt and Hetmeyer back into the side, because they are going to be crucial for the back end of the tournament for them as well.
I thought, Lisa, when you started saying that, you were going to say Hetmeyer is a bit of a softie and maybe hurt his ego a little bit. But he tends to be a little bit like that. Don't go by the hair.
Yeah, I still don't quite know what he's doing with his look, but yeah, he's an interesting guy, actually, and I had some conversations with Ian Bishop. He seems to be an emotional guy who wears his heart on his sleeve. So I hope that he understood the circumstances why he was out, and he can just pick up where he left off.
Yeah. The trouble is, with all the tattoos, Joy, you sometimes have to wear your heart somewhere on the sleeve where there's a bit of a gap from all the tattoos.
Yeah. Look, as I said, everyone knows I'm a military history freak. So that haircut is what I call the World War aircraft carrier haircut. You could land a plane on that. Straight down.
But I can let you on to a little secret before we see the Punjab lineup. And because a lot of the players before this year's CPL actually got together, they had a conversation and said, let's all go for this blonde look. And all except Nicholas Pooran. He was the one who backed out at the last moment and said, well, maybe not quite me, because he's a bit of a ladies' man. He said, okay, I'm sticking to my old hair. And he didn't do too badly in the tournament, but there were many others with that white look.
The only ladies' man. Please, come on.
I didn't say the only one. I didn't say the only one, Lisa. I said he was one of the, maybe a step or two ahead of the others. Right, let's get back to the two teams. Punjab, they don't quite have the luxury of experimenting like Delhi do, but they are on an upward trend. And if you have a look at their side right now, it'll also confirm that they've got plenty of firepower. On paper, no matter what else they've done, Rahul, Agarwal, Gale, Pooran, Maxwell, wow. And with the way Huda played in the last game, you can add another wow to that, Lisa.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's interesting. Jordan, he actually did okay. He bowled that super over and got them through, really. And then you bring in Jimmy Neesham, whose last game was against Mumbai Indians, match 13. So that's a long time to break. And I actually felt that their side started to look really good. And the problem that they've been having is they've been chopping and changing regularly. So players would be feeling down in confidence. But given the fact of, some close victories and things going their way now, I'm not sure I would have changed it, unless, Joy, it must be, matchups again. It must be something along those lines for them to change the side.
Yeah. No, that's one thought. The other I was thinking is, I think, honestly, Rahul was telling the truth when he said he wanted to chase as well. I think what they've done is they've just packed their side with batsmen. They feel that if Chris Jordan goes for 8 or 9 and over, Neesham will go at 11. It won't be that much of a difference. But they'll play that extra batsman, go hard from the top. I think they think they want to play to their strengths. I don't necessarily agree with that, because I feel that whatever has happened in this tournament will tell us that bowlers are really winning matches for you. Batsmen are setting it up, but it's the bowling attack that's winning it for you. So I'm a bit, because if the batsmen were winning games, then it would be Punjab on top of the table, not Delhi. Clearly, it's bowlers and wickets that are winning games, and that's why Delhi and Mumbai are on top and not Punjab. So that's my point. That I don't think the theory works, but for some reason they've gone with it. I just so hope they get it right this time. I mean, that's all I can say.
Interesting one, though, because we had Simon Dool on the show, and remember the theme yesterday was pretty much around Kiwis can do no wrong, Lockie Ferguson and the rest of the world. But despite all that, Simon Dool said, listen, every Kiwi can do no wrong, but Jimmy Neesham is not making it into the 11, and he's coming. So he's pretty much turned up a few for the books. But let's focus on the Delhi batting, reminding you that Shreyas Iyer has won the toss, decided to bat first, and Shikhar Dhawan will be in focus once again, because despite Prithvi Shaw not quite scoring what he's scoring, Shikhar Dhawan has been outstanding this season, Lisa.
Yeah, he has, and he's built up, hasn't he, the last few games? You can see there the first 7 matches, 200 runs. I mean, the last 2, 101 comes out of that. But it's the strike rate, and you get a sense that even from a period of last IPL, halfway through, his strike rate started to increase. He started to kind of back his skills. And I know probably lockdown hasn't helped him, and it's taken a bit of time for him to get going. But we're starting to see the best of him, and it's needed because Prithvi Shaw is really struggling at the top. So, they need one of their openers to go big, and he's been able to do that.
Yeah, other than what one low moment he had, Joy, when he wore those dodgy glasses, I think in game number 2, he's been doing, it's all been an upward trend for him, for Shikhar.
No, absolutely. I think, the dodgy glasses and that, jumping on Rabada like that, jumping on your most precious asset, 20 odd wickets in the IPL so far, you don't want an injury out there. I was saying, Shikhar, what are you doing out there? This guy gets an injury. He's your bowling spearhead.
But he's strong as an ox. Remember, he collided with Faf, didn't he? And Faf was on the ground in pain, and Kagiso was like, "Up you get, mate. Come on, let's go."
Yeah, I was on the show that day, and somebody said, "Look, Shikhar's wearing your glasses," and I said, "Well, I've had a few nutty ones, but I couldn't have matched that." But on the other end, I think the reason why he was wearing those glasses that day was because that particular day, Prithvi Shaw was actually scoring a few runs. Then it all started to get a little pear-shaped for him. So if Delhi can fix that, and they're in a position where they can fix a few things that are wrong until that car just eases into that playoff stage.
Well, they need to fix it, don't they, Joy? And I get a sense Ricky Ponting is backing his youngsters. The coaching staff, selectors are going, you know what, we're still winning, even though you're not producing the runs. We still think that our best 11, you're in it. And that gives a lot of confidence to those young players to know that they've got the backing of the coaching staff. But I reckon he's very close to, if he doesn't produce one more game, he might be finding himself sitting out. So he's got to turn it around really quickly.
The only problem is for Delhi is that if they, give somebody else a chance, the logical guy to give a chance is Rahane. And Rahane in 2 innings hasn't set the Dubai River on fire either. So, that's the basic problem with them. They haven't, if Rahane had got a couple of a 40 or a 50 or in one of those innings had a good innings, Prithvi would have been really under pressure. You know what I see them? They're almost like Chennai in 2018, carrying Watson. Like they literally carried Shane Watson because they kept winning. And it didn't matter that Watson wasn't producing. I think Ricky reckons that, the day Prithvi gets going, he can give them that start. So he'll say, okay, so let me carry him because I'm not losing games. If he's costing me games right now, the rest of me are so strong that I'm not losing games because of him. And it's an interesting way to look at it. And that's their problem. They have to play an Indian batsman there for their balance. And Rahane, which is the only other, gun Indian batsman there, he's not been in form either.
Well, maybe a few things for them to tinker with. But if you really have to be carrying someone, whether you take it literally or otherwise, it means that you need 1 or 2 players with just that extra bit of stamina, which is why we try and keep an eye on them on our Boost Stamina Meter and bring to you a preview and then, of course, a review at the end of it. And today we've picked both our skippers, the opposing skippers, KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer, who happen to be at numbers 3 and 4 with their stamina scores. We've just done a little comparison with them. Batting rating of 90.6 versus 85.8. Aggregate runs, KL Rahul's way on top of that with 525. But again, if you look at the numbers, Shreyas Iyer may not have such a mountain of runs, but I think the difference is, and the reason is that he's had so much more support for the rest of his team, as opposed to Rahul, who's been pretty much him and his best buddy at the other end.
Yeah, it's interesting how you also do that because you think captains as well, the stamina, the mental stamina that they need to, not only spending a lot of time out there in the middle to bat, but then especially if they're defending a total, to be able to make clear decisions, be able to communicate with your teammates is really crucial. And it's been interesting to see both the captains go about it. Obviously, KL Rahul taking over the skipper role this year. I think he's actually done really well. Despite the fact that they've been losing matches, he's really stood out and still been really positive in all of his post-match presentations. So credit to the guy.
Can be a tough role, Joy, when you're, especially the way they went for the first 5 games, 6 games.
Yeah. It's the toughest. I'm telling you, the toughest thing in the business is the post-match conferences after you lose games in bunches. Because you run out of answers to give. I mean, if you see somebody like Dhoni, and even Dhoni, he was pretty honest upfront, when they started losing. by yesterday, even he'd lost it. I mean, he's saying, what are we going to do? I don't see any spark anywhere, It's literally that. And I think that's one thing that shows character of Rahul going up, trotting out there. And the fact that they started to win now is quite amazing, because they've had bad luck, they had bad team compositions, few bad decisions, and every mistake they made was somehow magnified. It just got worse and worse and worse for them. And for them to even turn it around to the fact that there is hope. And I think they're very far away from qualifying. I think the top four are looking very pretty. They're far ahead of these guys, but I still think it's a very creditable performance. And even if they don't qualify this year, they'll take something away from it.
Yeah, they've got lots to take away from it. I think that's the subtle difference between them and Chennai. Chennai looking to rebuild. They're just looking to continue from where they are and saying, okay, we have everything. We just have to do a few things differently. But what about all of you? Don't do it differently. Keep the questions coming in. We love all your queries. We try and feature as many as possible. So on hashtag Ask Cricbuzz Live, we've picked something for today that we feel is a little bit relevant. And let's see what we have from Anurag. He says between KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer, there's an interesting one, because we've already compared them on the stamina scale. Between KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer, whose captaincy has impressed you more, Lisa? And I think there's a hidden message in that question, because somehow you don't necessarily have to always look at the performance of the team. It's just them as individuals.
Yeah, we've seen a number of skippers been given the role and then their own performance kind of goes down. The fact that Shreyas Iyer took over the captaincy halfway through last year and still improved his performance, that said a lot to me. And even KL Rahul, there's been a lot of media discussion about, his intent, whether he's striking it quick enough. But he's kind of stuck to his gun. So I actually think they're very similar from a mindset point of view. They're very strong-willed. They know what they want to do. They know what they want to achieve. So that also says that the people around them are giving them the right advice. So I think today, tonight's match is going to be a clash of those two guys, who makes the right decision, but also who scores the most runs. And maybe it'll give us a bit of an indication of who comes out on top. But we've got to remember that Delhi have a strong lineup. He's got the utility of some really good players, great bowlers. So I'd like to think that we can take that out of the equation, and the fact that KL Rahul has been able to get them out of a dungeon, so to speak, when things weren't going well, and to win those last two games, that says a lot about his character as well.
Lisa, that's a very, very comfortable fence you're sitting on.
It is, because they've both been good. Come on, Joy, where are you sitting on this one?
No, I think KL Rahul's done really well for them. I thought in the beginning he allowed his head to droop a bit early. Somebody's had a good chat to them. What I like about that is that support staff is one of the best they have. Anil Kumble, Jonty Rhodes, Andy Flower, tough as nails, Wasim Jafar, and two of the finest physios and trainers, Andrew and Adrian, who've been with the Indian team for a very long time. So it's a very good core of guys. If the Punjab guys respond to these guys and stay with them, they will deliver results in the long run. But yeah, I think Rahul's up against it at the moment. I like Rahul right now just because of the adversity he's been through. I don't think Shreyas has seen the similar adversity right now.
True.
So, fair enough. So we've got Lisa 50-50. Joy's leaned a bit towards KL Rahul, but I'm leaning a little bit towards Shreyas Iyer, very simply because I just got a feeling personally that there were times when Rahul's body language could have been a little more inspirational to the rest of his team. But obviously, he was up against it and not pointing any fingers. But a quick word on the man we just mentioned. We talk about half centuries. Rahul's got a few. Mayank Agarwal's got a few. KL's got something very close to one. But another one in the dugout who picked up a 50 the other day was Anil Kumble. Yep, reached that landmark 50. Born in 1970, 50 years old, doesn't quite look it. But what a character to have for them. What a stalwart to have in that dressing room, Lisa.
Yeah, his credentials as a player, but also his character. I don't know him very well, but every time I've kind of come across him and we've spoken to each other on the pitch, he's been very respectful, I've seen him in commentary. I was disappointed for him that he didn't get an opportunity to really coach the Indian side. I felt like he could have made some really big inroads there. But for him to be given this side, and to be honest, probably one of the toughest franchises to be a head coach. And I'm only going on past head coaches and them sharing with me the difficulty. So he seems to be managing everyone else fairly well, and that takes a lot of character to do that.
And Joy, the other day you tweeted about him on his birthday, and it was very appropriate that it had to be the bandage picture, because at the moment, or maybe a couple of games ago, Punjab, the team looked a little bandaged, didn't they?
Yeah, but if you can take Brian Lara's wicket with a bandaged jaw, you can do anything. And you probably took Carl Hooper's wicket as well if that decision hadn't gone right way. Gautam, were you there that day when all this happened? Were you in
I was
game?
standing on the boundary line. Nearly lost my job because I was told to do only one thing: give an honest update as to what's happening with Anil Kumble. I came back to the guys in the production room and said, guys, breaking news. I've heard it from Andrew Leapers. Kumble is flying back. He's not stepping on the field again. And they look at me and say, what rubbish? What rubbish? I said, what do you mean, what rubbish? By the time I had walked back to the other end of the ground, they had put that jaw, knowing that he's flying back the next day, puts on the bandage, comes on, picks up Lara's wicket. And I was like made to look so silly. I told him about it. We did a show together. I said, Anil Kumble, I love you. You're a legend, but you nearly cost me my job.
Thankfully, he didn't.
Thankfully, he didn't. The only thing, as David Shepherd reminded all of us, was he told him, Jumbo, do everything you want to, but please don't appeal. Don't appeal. He didn't want him to appeal with that on. So he said, whatever it is, you just politely look at me and I'll give it if it has to be given. But we're getting very close to the start of the game, and let's talk about our My 11 Circle trump card. You're always pleading for that last minute tip. So here it is before the game starts, your tip for the day, the My 11 Circle trump card. Yes, he's a stalwart, but not everyone necessarily picks him these days. Ravichandran Ashwin, remember, he does get you those wickets. Remember his first game, 1 over 2 for 2. Remember who he might be bowling against in the opposition. So think about all those things and pick Ravichandran Ashwin. Joy, we've also got time for you to make life difficult for all of us and for the rest of the world with your Joy Factor question.
This one is definitely chill music. Take a good look. It's a fun one. Okay, what connects a second person of Chinese origin to play first-class cricket in Australia? A cricketer who made his test debut against India in 1998, a person who worked as a pig handler in the film Babe, and a cricketer who plays his last ODI against India in 2001. What specifically connects them? Don't tell me they're cricketers. It's got something much, much more significant than that.
Okay, it's interesting. It's interesting. I can just pick one little bit, but I'm not going to say any more about that. But it's a fun one.
I think I might have it.
But don't give it away, Lisa. Don't give it away, Lisa. We'll talk about it after the show. But while the show is still on, I think we need to talk about one person who's part of our Cricbuzz Live community and turns half a year older today. I won't say a whole year older. He hates it. Virender Sehwag, quick one before we wrap up on the show. What is it that makes Viru Viru? One from each of you. Come on.
Go, Joy.
Apparently, there is a story which is attributed to him batting with Jeremy Snape when he used to bat for Leicester. And apparently, Snape was telling him that Abdul Razak was reversing the ball and was doing a lot. So, how do we tackle him? So Viru turns around, looks at him and says, I'll take care of it. He hit the ball out of the ground and he said, don't worry, they'll now get a new ball. Our bad problem is solved. No reversing after this. So only Viru knows how to solve the problem. Now, I think the dates are a bit mixed up and I don't think it's Razak, but he did hit a ball out of the stadium because he thought it was reversing. That's the truth, definitely.
Fair enough.
Jeez, I wish I had those type of skills. For me, he was a pain in the neck, really. We didn't like him when he came and toured down under. He scored too many runs. He enjoyed the Australian pitches. But he certainly has inspired a lot of people, and Harmanpreet Kaur talks about him fondly, about he was the one that got her to play the expansive game that we know and love about her.
Yeah. Well, my favorite Viru story always has been off the field. We were at an event with 300 steel dealers, and he just wanted to tell a story. He took the event over, made me sit in one corner, and he said, listen, someone asked him about numbers in the back, right? why did you wear a blank jersey? Because he went through a phase when he had no number on his back. And he said, how many people in this room are married? And obviously maybe half of them put their hand up or stood up. He said, listen to me, very strong lesson in life. My wife told me to take one number. My mother told me to take another number. I needed to keep them both happy. So that's why I have no number on my back. Lesson for life, people. Happy birthday, Virendra Sehwag.
Good one.
Brilliant
But
story.
of course, one time we cannot keep numbers blank, and that's our My 11 Circle badge of honor. So very quickly, Lisa and Joy. Lisa, you can go first. What's your prediction for Delhi at the end of 20 overs?
179.
179.
Okay.
That's certainly the kind of score they like. Joy, you're going higher than that?
I'm going to up it. 186.
But you're not going to lowball it for once.
No, Joy is the key low baller, but I am going to go Joy style and low ball to 166. 166. So it's going to be not a huge span, but I think we hopefully will fall within that. We'll see where we stand at the 10 over mark Cricbuzz Combox, and we'll wrap it all up at the end. My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live.